Okay, so I'm going to make a video on, I've been asked, or somebody has told me that their instrument doesn't make any noise whatsoever, which is a bit unusual, but that's usually caused by the sound post being dislodged, and I'm going to try and make this as brief as I can. You can do it yourself, or you can get a luthier to do it for you. So I'm just going to make a quick video on how to install or place the sound post yourself. You will need to do it very carefully because the soundboard is very brittle, and putting any pressure on it will can crack it. So I suggest you do it very, very carefully if you do it yourself. The sound post is, you should be able to see it. It's halfway between the sound, that long sound hole. You should be able to see it. If I can just focus just in there, you can just see it there. It's bigger than a matchstick. It's probably, you could probably say 3 matchsticks put together. It's made of the same, usually made of the same material as the soundboard. This soundboard's a bit dusty, so just ignore that. I'll dislodge this one. It's not glued. The violin sound posts are glued to the bottom, not the top. These ones are not glued at all, so they do tend to come off if you knock the instrument sideways, not this way, but if you knock it sideways, it can dislodge, especially once the bridge, I've removed the bridge from this one, so if the bridge is not there, the strings actually provide tension to the soundboard, keeping the soundboard in place. So I suggest when you're not using your instrument to keep some tension on the strings onto the bridge, because it actually does keep the sound post in place. So at the moment, this one here would probably easily dislodge if I knocked it sideways. But anyway, I'll quickly remove this one, or I'll dislodge it and show you how to get it out. Can take quite a bit of time. So with this, okay, so the instrument, the tools you need to do it is a pin, a very, very fine pin. I use a butter knife, right? So a butter knife doesn't have any teeth, so it's not sharp, and I'll show you why in a minute. And I also use another knife which does have teeth on it, because we want to grip onto the wood, and I'll show you why later on. So let me dislodge this one. This one's in place. You can just see it. So usually, if you move your instrument sideways, you'll hear the sound post in there. If you think it's not, if that's the only way to test. If it's usually it stays in there. It won't come out easily. So if it does dislodge, you can hear it moving around inside. So this one here, I'm just going to tap it. Okay, so you can just hear it there, and now you can hear that it's just inside the instrument. To get it out, the best way to do it, I do it by lying on my back, tilting the instrument upside down, and that way, and then just manoeuvring the little sound post until you can see it through these sound holes. So what you want to do is, the sound post went in there after the sound post. The sound post went in there after the soundboard was installed, which means if it can go in, it can come out, and it'll come out through the widest part of the sound hole, which is usually right in the middle, because these ones are usually, depending on what type of instrument, who's made it, the widest part is right in the middle. And so what you do is you tilt it upside down, lying on your back. Move it around until you can see the sound post visibly through the hole. And what you want to do is position it. I'll do it in a minute. I'll see if I can get on my back. I'm using my mobile phone, and you want to position it so it's lying that way. Once it's lying that way, you want to use the knife with the teeth, that have got the teeth. And what you want to do is you want to grab onto the sound post, the end of it, and because it's got the teeth, you can then pull it outwards until the end of the soundpost just pokes its head through there. Once it pokes its head through there, you can use your fingers to pull it out. Let me see if I can do that. I'll just pause the video and see if I can show you how to do it. Right, so I've managed to have it placed between the sound holes. Usually I pull it out while I'm lying on my back, but I've managed, this one's gripping there, so I've just put the instrument on its side. So what you want to do now, so if I was on my back now, or as I was put, the process is to just grip onto the tip of the sound post there, maneuver it around like that, and then pull it out. So this one's probably not poking its head out enough, so I'll just see if I can move it out a little bit. I think that should be enough there now, and I should be able to pull this one out. No, not quite, so just a little bit more. Yep, it's about 3 mils there. I mean, you can do this a number of times, almost have it out, it'll drop in. It can be very frustrating, but once you get the hang of it, let's see if I can grab onto this now. Not quite. Okay, I think that should be not quite. I don't know why. Might move it around a bit. Now, I'll just pause the video. I think this sound post seems to be round. Usually they're rectangular. I'll just jiggle it around with the camera down and I'll come back. So I've had to push it back in, and I'm going to try and pull it out of the other sound hole now. I didn't want to put too much pressure on it, and I've managed to bring it out this far. So it's come out further, but it is providing a lot of resistance, and I don't want to... Oh, here we go. So it's finally come out, and there it is there. This one's sort of round. I mean, I made this instrument, and I usually don't make them round. Maybe I did in this case, but the top of it, see if I can focus. Can that focus? But anyway, it'll usually be, there's different ways of putting them in. The reason I use the pin, I'll just place it here, to position it. If it's wider at the bottom and thinner at the top, this one slightly is. So usually it's not. It'll just be a piece of wood. It'll either be rectangular. This one's sort of oval shaped. But usually you can sometimes, if it's wider at the bottom, that goes on the bottom, and if it's if it's narrow at the top, that'll be the top. And what I do, there's a couple of different ways of doing this. You will put the pin. You'll pin it basically. I can't. Let me see. Okay, here we go. So what you do is, in order to hold onto the piece of wood to place it, you will put the pin in just ever so slightly. If you put it in too much, it'll crack. Just enough for you to be able to hold it. It might even just be a mil. And usually, depending on how the person that made the instrument, usually it'll already have a pin mark there. So what you want to do is just use that. This one has a slight pin mark there, I think. Can't focus on it. But anyway, what you want to do is, let's see if I can do it here. Okay, I'm not on a very stable, so basically like that. I can now grab onto I've grabbed onto it. Again, it's not any sort of resistance, and the pin will probably come off, so it's not going to be easy putting this in. But what we now do, I might just put the camera down. I'll just get a little bit more of a grip, because this is not a very good grip. Right, so I've grabbed onto it just a little bit better with the pin, and now it's just a matter of sliding it through the sound hole again. You want to do it at right angles to the bottom, so make sure it's not on an angle. So as we look at it from here, as you're putting it down, make sure it's not on an angle either way. It can be hard to do, so make sure it's straight down 90 degrees both ways. First of all, find out which side it's going to go on. For a right-hander, the higher pitched chord, it sits under the higher, or the side of the higher pitched chord. In this case, it'll be on this side of the instrument, halfway down, and we're going to place it right here, and we're going to go all the way down. Now I'll do that here, and I'll come. Now this one I probably should have sanded it a bit to get it in easier, because it came out difficult, but I should be able to just force it through down like that. We can make slight adjustments once it's in there, but it's about halfway. Let me see. Yep, down it goes. Now when it's made to be about 1 or 2 mils higher than the height of the soundboard, so that what you do now is, and I'll see if I can balance this here, because this is where I bring the butter knife in. There we go. The reason we use the butter knife is we lift the soundboard carefully. We're lifting this side so that the sound post, we then just maneuver it and push it under using the pin. Obviously you can't slide the entire sound post under the soundboard, because the pin's there. Now if it was a rectangular sound post, you just position the pin slightly off center or to the side, so that you can put a fair bit under. This one's round, so I had to put it sort of in the middle. I had to pin it in the middle. But what you do now is you lift this up. Now if I was to lift this up, that'll probably move. But what you do is you raise it 1 or 2 mils, so that so I'll just do it now. See, as I'm raising that a bit, and now obviously you don't want to raise it too much, because you'll break it. So if there's any resistance, you've got to be very, very careful. But that's the way it went in. So you raise it, and then if I had my other hand now free, I would grab onto the end of the pin, and I would push the end of the top of the sound post under the soundboard. Now once you get it even just probably 2 mils under there, then you can let go of the butter knife, and it'll sit onto the part of the sound post. And then what you do is, actually let me do that and I'll come back. Right, so okay, so I've done that. I've raised the soundboard. I've put part of the sound post underneath, and it's sitting on there with the pin. So I can now remove this pin, and that should stay where it is, okay, because it's under the soundboard. Now once it's under there, all you have to do to position it all you have to do is just slide it over slightly, ever so slightly, using the butter knife. And I'll do that here. So just do it very carefully. All it needs to do is move a little bit. You don't want it moving too much, because there we go. And now it's in place. Alright, so where is it? Did I push it too far? No, it's right there. Let me see if I can get it to focus. For some reason I can't focus it, but there we go. Right there. Okay, so there it is there. I can't focus it with this camera, but I haven't done it right in the middle, so I'll take this out and position it properly. But that's how you do it. You can do it yourself. Just do it very carefully. It probably should have gone. It should go right in the middle. So I'm probably off about 5 mils, but I'll do that in a minute. Make sure it's diagonally straight down this way. It's not that way, and it's not on another angle. So, yep. So that's how to do it. Most important thing is it's a very brittle piece of wood on the top. It's dried out. It's been dried for years, so this will crack very easily. But it does have some flexibility so to work with, and you don't glue it, so it just stays in place. And then just put your bridge back, tension up your strings, and that's all you need to do.